Hello everyone, this is Akshay here, and welcome back to the GFG POTD streak of day 155. So, let us see what the today's question is about, and let us think of the approaches we can code off. So, today's question name is redundant parenthesis, and it's tags are string stack and data structures, right? So, let us read the question. It's a hard category question. तो यार ये क्वेश्चन शुरू करने से पहले यार मैं कुछ बातें पहले बता दूं कि this question is again a good question, right? So, we will not Mm, do this, and मेरे को पता है, like I know that many of you would have not been able to solve this question. तो कोई दिक्कत की बात नहीं है यार, ये क्वेश्चन एक actually एक अच्छा क्वेश्चन था. So for these type of question, what I do is that when I am or not able to solve this question, or when you are not able to solve this question, what you must do is that try it for maybe half an hour or 1 hour maybe max, or 1 hour maybe max, right? And then try to visit the solutions, try to visit the submissions, try to get hints from the comment section, right? And if not, because this question is in one ये एक ऐसा क्वेश्चन होगा जो हमें like देख के भी समझ नहीं आएगा, like after reading the editorial also you will not be able to understand, right? So in this video my motive will be to explain you the that what could be the answer of this question, right? कि वो कैसे काम कर रहा है, ठीक है? तो इंस्टेड ऑफ गोइंग फ्रॉम द स्टार्ट टू एंड, वी विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम एंड विल गो टू स्टार्ट, ठीक है? उल्टा चलेंगे हम लोग आज. ये क्वेश्चन है ही ऐसा यार. फॉर दिस टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन यू मस्ट बी ready to accept and ask questions that why is it happening, and asking questions why it's happening in the sense that you need to dry run yourself for those cases, right? I will try as much possible to explain you all the if cases, else cases here I will write. I will try to explain you as much possible in the best way from my side. But yes, uh, uh, अपना दिमाग खोल के रखो यार. And it will be like more on the acceptance, right, and not more on the solving part, as per my say. So let us start now. ठीक है. So given a valid expression containing only binary operators plus minus star and hash operands, remove all the redundant parentheses. Okay, okay. ये सब आप पढ़ लेना, थोड़ी सी इंग्लिश है. कुल मिला के बात ये है कि there is an expression given, right? And there will be some answer, right? If you solve this expression a star b plus c, so definitely b plus c will be solved first, and then it will multiply with a star, right? It will multiply with a. So what this question is saying that remove all those braces, right? ऐसे braces को remove कर दो, which will give you the same answer, right? If you see that if I remove the last braces, then this expression and this expression, the expression return output, will give me the same answer, right? But if I remove this parenthesis as well, that is behind b and after c, then the expression in the input and this a star b plus c, right, will give you the difference output, right? So I hope you're able to understand the question now. I hope you're able to understand it. So what I'm saying is that this is a star b plus c, right? So I can say that a star b plus c will give you the same answer, but the number of parentheses have been reduced, right? So this is one of my output. But if I do like this, if I remove all the available parentheses, then let's say this was having the answer x, and this will also will have answer x, but this will give you some y answer, right? And you have to find the same answer until and unless you have removed all the parentheses possible. That's the question. ठीक है. तो एक और क्वेश्चन होता है यार, like you can there is one other question also to a balance parenthesis, right? But that's a medium side of a question. Just have to maintain a stack and everything goes well. So I maybe encourage you to solve that question also before moving into this. It will be like easier for you to accept that why are we using stack here, right? Let us resume now. Okay. So we will not go in the conventional manner of starting with the method 1 and method 2 and method 3. There will be just one approach that I'll be explaining you for this question. Try to apprehend it, try to understand it, and try to ask constructive questions in the comment, right, for this video. और कल मेरा ऑफिस भी यार, like tomorrow is some activity I have participated, so I need to report at 7 a.m. and it's already 2:30, and this hard question is giving me so much of complex time today. So let us see. So what I am saying is that first of all, I will make one array, right? I will name it as last day, next day. And before explaining you this question, I like to tell you that I have also taken help from the external sources. Then only I'm able to explain you this question, right? So that's the not a bad thing to accept, right? Okay. So देखते हैं. So what are the indexes? Let's name the indexes 0 1 2 3 4 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? But I think it should go beyond it. Yeah, let me rename it again. So 0 1 2, this there is one parenthesis here, right? So it will be 3 4 5 6 7 and 8, right? Okay, so what I'm storing is, what I have to store is, let me yeah, so 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? So for each and every character, last day is just saying that you need to store the character which has just, you have just explored before the index I. So from the 0th character, you can see there is a parenthesis, so there is no character. So for that thing, you have to say -1. Similarly, for index 1, there is no operator beyond index 1, so again -1. Similarly, for index 2, you can see there is a star operator, but on the index itself. We have to find the operator behind the index, right? So I will say again -1. If you will be 3, you'll say there is a star operator. So I will say star. Similarly, for index 4, it will be star. Similarly, for index 5, it will be star. But for 6, you can see the nearest character in the left is plus. So I will update it as plus. And for 7 also, it will be as plus. And for 8 also, it will be as plus. Similarly, the next character will represent you the operator just after the ith index, right? So we will start filling from it from here. So the last character will have 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So the last character is parenthesis. There is no operand in the right hand side. So let me fill that this next, and then we will proceed. So that's the step one. Try to just accept it for now, and then everything will make sense in the last, right? Okay, and the ASCII values also I need to write it. So ASCII values of star is 42. For plus it is 43, and for what minus it is 55, and for slash it is 57, right? Because the question has said that the operators are just these four, right? Plus, minus, star, and slash. So let us code this step one, right? And since we are iterating in this string, so we have to make this thing as a string, right? And then you have to operate it forming these two arrays. So let us do that thing, right? There is the string given to you, but since you want to access our current particular index, right? So we have to make a string to char array using this function, string to char array. That's the step one. If you also code in Java, then try to pause this video and do this step yourself, and then we'll resume again. Yeah, so that's the thing here. So just forget about this answer array that I have made as of now, right? So just look at the things I've already explained to you, that we have made a char array using this expression string, right? We have made an variable for representing the length of the string. And if the character, the last of I already explained to you, is the just the last operator before the index I, and next of I is the next operator just after the index I, the nearest next operator, right? So that's the for loop. The same thing I have started to fill the last operator from here. So that is why I equals to 0 is starting for this thing. And for the next I have started to filling this array from the right hand side. So that is where it is starting from I equals to n minus 1. So that's a very simple code. I hope you will be able to relate it yourself, right? Okay, now we can even verify it, that if this thing is giving us the same answer as this one or not, right? So let me write the code of printing this both array, and then we will see it. So that is it, and I have missed one statement, that is return. Let me do that. So you can clearly see the last array having the values 3 times -1, 42, 42, and 3 times 43. Let us verify. So we have 3 times -1s here, and 3 times star symbol, but the star symbol has the ASCII value of 43, and the plus symbol has the ASCII value of 43. You can verify that, right? So we have coded the first step of our solution, right? I am again saying it, don't try to think otherwise, that today in today's video, why are we not starting with the intuition first, right? So there are some times that you need to apprehend the question in another way if that question is way too complex, and if we are not able to solve it, right? And I'm hoping that many of you would have not able to solve this question. So that is why I am approaching in this manner. But if you would have solved this question, right, then you would not have been in need of this video, right? So that is the truth, maybe. So let us not you waste more time and proceed ahead. So now what we will do, the step 2 will be that we will create a stack now, right? So we will create a stack and we will create some two arrays, that is sign array and this MP array. ठीक है? तो sign array का क्या मतलब होगा कि let me write this thing and then I will resume again. So that is it. Accepted that we have this two arrays, sign array and MP array. Sign is nothing but that it is indicating the index of last occurrence of operator in expression. Just accept it. I will explain you that how it is getting used in a dry run. I will show you the dry run at last. And MP is that whether an operator is present in sub expression. What is sub expression here? The sub expression is nothing but we will always be comparing in this range whenever we are getting an opening brackets and closing brackets. So we have to write some cases, right? And that cases will decide that either that whether this bracket is a redundant bracket or it is not a redundant bracket, right? So you can see I'm also talking in a very patient manner, so have some patience again. Okay, so let us move ahead. Let us make this thing and then we will proceed ahead. So that is it. I have mentioned the third step as well. Is it third or second step? It is second step, right? We have maintained a stack. We have maintained a sign array, right? The use cases that we have to store the index of last occurrence of a characters. I will show you the significance that how it's coming. And an MP array to store the whether the operator is present in a sub expression. We will be comparing, right? And if there is no characters of the last occurrence of the characters if there, then the -1 will help us to identify it. And we have made another character array for the operands, right? So let us start now iterating for each and every character, right, in our expression string, right? Okay, so now, so for each and every character, we have to see that if the character is operand, right? So that means for each and every character, we have to run a for loop in this operand, checking it if it is actually equals or not. And if it is equal, then we have this MP array which stores the occurrence of that operator, right? So we have to store in that. Second case would be that if the uh, what if it is an operand, right, operand in the sense a, b and c, then you do not have to do anything, just store the characters. And if it's an opening bracket, then you need to push it. And if there is an ending bracket, then we will pop uh, the peak element, the top element of the stack, which will actually give us the range of our existing uh, pair of parentheses, right? So let me code that thing and I will show you the dry run, right? So that's the thing that we are running a for loop, right? And for each and every character, we are running a for loop in the operand, right? Operand, yes, yes, okay. Okay, and we are running a for loop for the, we are matching the current character with the whether that character is an operand or not. And if it is, then we are storing that index in this sign array, right? And if it's an opening bracket, then we are pushing it. And if it's a closing bracket, then we are getting the range. So let me now do the dry run until this step, and then we will proceed ahead with the multiple cases, right? So for let's say p equals to 0, you have the character of s1, s of 0, which is an opening bracket, right? So whenever there is an opening bracket, you do not need to do anything. You just have to push that in the stack, the index, right? And this is corresponding to an opening bracket, right? So for p equals to 1, for p equals to 1, let's say your character is p of 1, that is a. So you do not have to do anything now, just proceed ahead. So p equals to 2, you have a operand as star, right? So what you need to do is that you run a for loop for each and every operand. There were 4 operands, that is star, plus, minus, and division. And you see that the star matches with this our current character. And what you will do, that we already know that the star has an ASCII value of 42, right? If I'm not wrong, yes, that's what I've written here in the step 1. Now everything will make sense to you, right? Line by line. So since that's the case, then what we have to do, then you have to store it, right, in the sign array. So I will do that sign of 42 is 2. That's the index, right? It is actually the index. So that's what is happening here. Let me show you again. Yeah, so it's the sign of the uh, the character ASCII value equals to the index, and that is why we have made the sign array as the size of 256 because there are only 256 ASCII values, right? Similarly for MP, 256. Okay, let us proceed ahead. So for P equals to 3. So let us draw a sign array as well. So this is a sign array, and for an index 42, you have the value as 2, right? So let me change the color for the next iteration. So for P equals to 3, what will happen? That you have an closing bracket now. No, again an opening bracket now. So if that's an opening bracket, then you need to push it, right? So the index 2 and now the index 3 will be pushed, and both corresponds to a bracket which is an open type, right? Now let's do for P equals to 4, and P equals to 4 will have the character as B. So I'm dry running this thing for test case 1, which is given in the question, right? P equals to 3, you do not have to do anything. So for P equals to 5, you have a character as plus, and again you will run a for loop, this the same you learn, and then you will find that in the operand you have a plus operator which matches to this operator. So what you will do, that sign of plus, so plus has the ASCII value of 43, right? And store the index in it, that is the current index, that is 5. So that means our current sign array will look like this. So it is 42, it is 43, 42 will have index as 2, 43 has index as 5. Okay? Okay. Now for P equals to 6, what will happen? Now we have a, which type of bracket? Let me see. No bracket. So it is a operand C. So we do not have to do anything, right? But when we get to a point where for is P equals to 7, we have a closing bracket, right? So what we need to do is that we have to pop, right? And pop, that is pop what? Get, like, we are getting the character from top of the stack, from top of stack. And this pop character will give you what? It will give you the corresponding, let me write it for you, corresponding opening bracket for this closing bracket, right? Because we were always storing an opening bracket, right? So let us pop it now. So once you pop it, right, once you pop it, you will get an integer that is 3, right? Let us store that range now. So I will store the I as 3, right, and j as my current index 7, right? Let me code this step as well, and then we will proceed ahead. Oh, I have already done that. So for I equals to st.pop, this is nothing but the range of the sub expression now you are that we will compare. So that is what I have written here. It stores whether an operand is present in the sub expression, right? You can clearly see that this sign array will now help you to yes, to check if the operand are present in this sub expression or not. Okay, so let us proceed ahead. So now we have made an MP array, right? So MP array we have made just to make sure that if there are any operands between this interval, that is 3 to 7. So how we can do that? How we can do that? So if I need to know that if there are any operands in the sense these four symbols present in this range 3 or 7, then I already know that whatever the operands have been present from 0th index to my current index 7 is present where? Is present here, right? Is present here. And I want, and this is the index for those operands, but I want the operands that is present in this particular range, right? So what can I do? That I will do that I will, let's say I will iterate in all the operand types, that are 4 types, right? And I will check that my sign array, which was actually having the indexes of all the operands from 0 to my current index, that is 7, right? And so sign of x, this is nothing but the index, right? And that index, I want that index to be in range of this thing, 3 to 7, because that is the sub expression I'm comparing now. Just try to accept it. How we will compare, I will show you, right? That is my job. So sign of x, if it is greater than equals to I, right? Because this range, 3 to 7, I want between in this range, right? So definitely I have to see if it is greater than I, right? And I do not have to check this sign of x should be less than equals to j, because that sign do not have itself that index thing, right? It just have the indexes from 0 to 7. That is why I'm not writing this condition that sign of x should be less than equals to j, right? I hope you're getting this point. If that's the case, store this thing in an MP of x, right, equals to 1. It is saying that you have these type of operators. MP of x, x is nothing but the ASCII value of the operators, right? Let me code this step, right? And then we'll proceed ahead. Okay, so we are already 20 minutes. I will take maybe 10 more minutes. So we are at this current range of 3 to 7, right? And what I need, so let me write like this. So we are at this current range of 3 to 7. So I need two more things, right? So whether there is first this thing. The second thing is that if there is an operator beyond this 3, I need that operator, because that will help me to determine that if this bracket should be present there or not, right? How? I will show you. Okay, so let us find that operator. How we can find that? That is now, that was the thing we made this last array and next array, right? That was storing the previous character operand just behind the ith point, and next was just behind the, so I can just call my lasta of 3 of, let's say, I, and I will give you, it will give me my the operand which is just present before 3. And similarly I can just call nexta of 7, and it will give me the operand which is just present after the 7, right? So what it will return, so last of 3 will return you star, and next of 7 will return you what? Let me look into that. Yes, so I need those two things, right? So that's what I have coded here, and the last of j will give you the last of 7 will give you as -1, and this will give you as star. Okay, now what I will do, I will write all those conditions here. I will write all those conditions here, right? Which is responsible for checking that if the redundant parenthesis should be there or not. And then I will explain you one by one that how at all each and every case is written. And then we will complete our dry run, right? Okay, so let us discuss the cases one by one. So the first case. So the first case is that we have got a range now, and I need to decide that this is a what, have operands operators or not. So when you got a range, right? So there would be what would be the possibility, right? That this we have to decide that what is inside it, है ना? And we have to decide what is inside it, and we have to decide what is outside, right? So in the outside case, there will be some parameters. That in the outside, let's say there is no operand, right? That can be one case. Second case would be, let's say we have a division symbol, or let's say we have plus, minus, or star symbol, right? Or inside may, we can see that inside also it can have just the operands, just the operators, as well as the mixture of both. So there, you can clearly see that there are several cases, 5 to 6 cases. We need to understand that. Okay, so the first case is that I am saying that in the inside there is no operands, right? That is there is no plus minus symbol in this range. No operands. Don't mind my handwriting, right? So I can say that in the inside only operators are present, right? And yes. So okay, so operands is nothing but the plus, minus, star, and division, right? Yes, and operators are, I'm saying, for A, B, C, and D, right? So maybe I'm using the terminology wrong. Maybe let me verify. Yeah, sorry for the delay. I just I just made sure that operators are the operations, right? That is the plus, minus, this and that, like the operations that you know. But the operands are on which the operations are is to be done. That is, operands are the actual numbers A, B, C, and D, right? So the first I'm considering is that there is no operators in this. There is no operator, so I'm saying there is no plus, division, minus sign in this, right? So that means I can say that in the parenthesis I have only operands, right? Only operands. And if you just have only operands, like if you have a, or let's say there are 3 parentheses, if you're just operands, right, then you can clearly remove all this parenthesis, right? And so let's make a one more variable, that is okay, right? Okay is equals to 1 when you can say that you can remove the parenthesis, that you do not have to consider this character, right? So I can clearly say that this for this test case the parenthesis is not required. So I'm just writing in short that parenthesis not required. Let me change the color. And I have made that variable, so I will say that okay is equals to 1. So that is one if statement. Let us code this if, and then we'll proceed ahead. I've already coded everything, each and every step, but I'll explain you one by one, right? So yeah, so that's the case. So MP was actually making sure, right? MP was actually making sure that if you have any operands between this operators between this range or not, right? If you have any symbols of plus, minus, division, and whatsoever, the four operators, right? So now, so if every MP is saying that for each and every symbol I'm pointing to 0, that means that no operators are present in between the sub expression, right? And that is why I have written here that this MP is required. This MP where I have this MP is to store an operator is present in the sub expression or not, right? I hope you're getting the point, and I hope you were able to relate with every line I have written. Okay, so that's the first case. So now I can clearly say that I know I do not need the parenthesis if it's there, right? So I will say OK equals to 1, right? And at last, after considering all the cases, I will say that if my OK is equals to 1, I have make sure that not that parentheses are not required, and for those I and j which were actually the parentheses were present, mark it as 0, right? Right? Okay. Okay, so let us discuss the second case now, and this first case. So this was the first case, and there is one more case that let me explain you that as well. So let's say you have this range, right? You have this range, and let's say you have more parentheses, irrespective of what is inside and what is outside. You have just below, that is, let's say this is index 3 and this is 7, and it's just after index 7 it's 8 and it's 2, so you have one more parenthesis. So I can directly say if there is something inside or not, I can just remove this thing, right? So for that case also, you can see I have just compared just the index minus 1, the starting index minus 1, and the index plus 1. If that's a closing and opening, then you can again say that the parentheses are not required, right? So which parentheses are not required? This one. This parentheses are not required, and then we will do the same operations using these two, 2 and 8, right? I hope you're getting the point. Okay, let us get back to the second case. So the second case is, this video may get lengthier, but please bear with me. It may take some time, right? And try to watch this video at 2x space. I have spoken in very less space. Okay, so the second case is that, let's say in the right hand side and in the left hand side you have no operators. You have no operators. Operators, you know, right? These are the four symbols, right? So I can clearly say that if there are no operators, right? So everything is like done between this parenthesis, right? So if there are no operators, then I can clearly say that I do not require this parenthesis, right? I can say or not. It is as good to say that a plus b is written in a parenthesis, right? Right or not? So I can just remove that parenthesis. So again, I will say my OK is equals to 1, and that's what I have coded. That's what it's written. That if equals to minus 1, there is no other operators are present in the left and no other operators are present in the right, right? So do it as OK equals to minus 1, right? Now let us see for the next case. Next case would be, you have this range, and let's say you have a division symbol, right? So what can I say here कि इसके अंदर operators हो या ना हो, in English, that I don't care in this between this parenthesis, I don't care if the operators are present or not present, right? I don't care. Why? Because अगर इसके अंदर, like, if the operator would have been present, right? So ये answer, if the operators, let's say if the operators would not have been present, right, then this OK is already updated, right? This OK is already updated. Or let's say if the operator was present, then this if statement was already not executed, and in the global we have already declared OK as 0, right? So that means this will be an empty if statement, and that is required. You cannot like neglect this step. You can argue with me that bhaiya, that if this case is doing nothing, that you are doing nothing here in this, you are writing an empty if statement, then why you are writing it? Eliminate that step. Na, you cannot do that. Why so? Because you are handling a case, which case, that whether you have operators or not, but I am saying that whether you have operators or not, I am restricting you, that I am saying that you must have this division symbol on the left hand side of your this range, right? And for that case I am using the above answer, This is actually a smart work that it's done here. I could have also written it that if the next last of I is division, right, and there is no operators inside, then do it OK equals to 0 or 1, right? OK equals to what? So if there are operators present, right? If there are operators present, right? So definitely it would say that OK is 0, and I will I will go with it, because you can clearly see an example, right? That you have this thing division star into 2, right? If you remove this bracket, that the answer will give you some other thing. And this 3 star 2, I know that I need this parenthesis, and for needing the parenthesis I need to say OK equals to 0, and that is already being taken care by this above step. It will not go in this first if statement because there are operators present, and OK equals to 1 never will happen, right? So OK equals to 0 will automatically get updated because we have declared OK equals to 0 above all the starting of the if statement, right? Okay, so I hope you're able to relate to this point as well, right? I've given you the example as well. And let's say for the second that, let's say there were no operators, right? So you can clearly see that this does not require the parenthesis, and it will reside inside this first statement, and it will say OK equals to 1, and clearly this OK will be transferred in this answer as well. So this thing is dependent on the first if statement. That is why it is it is handling the case just for we have a division sign on the left, and rest of the thing is handling from the first if statement. I have given you enough intuition here. So if you still do not understand, please pause here now and try to think or try to watch this particular test case again. So that is what being handled here, right? So okay, so let us go to the next case. So the next case is that, let's say in the range, right, you have a what is there? You have a minus sign behind the range, and you have a plus or minus sign inside the range, right? So you can see the example that it is the example like this, that you have a minus and you have a plus inside, or you have a minus outside and you have a minus inside as well, right? So definitely you can see for this case, right, that I need OK equals to what, 0 or 1, right? I need what? Let's see it manually. I need OK equals to 0 because I need this parenthesis. If you will remove this parenthesis, then the expression will change as minus a minus b, and this expression will not give you the same answer. But this OK equals to 0 is handling by again the first if statement, because it is handling that if there are no operators, then only update OK equals to 1, else update OK equals to 0. So that's what handling here, right? Similarly for this thing also, I need OK equals to 0, and it is handled by the above statement of the first if statement, right? You can see here int OK equals to 0. I hope I am very clear to you, right? Okay, so that is being handled, right? And that is why it is the empty if statement, and that's the reason it is required also, because irrespective of these two things, right, which is taken care by the first if, we are actually handling this case, that what if beyond the range you have a division sign, and is behind the range did you have a negative symbol. So now there are two cases left, that there if it is a plus or star symbol, right? So let us handle that case as well. So we are clear till this point. Yes. Okay, so let us handle the next case now. Okay, so you can see that these four statements are if and else if statements, right? So among these four statements, only one will execute, right? So if there is a division sign, this if will handle, and it will just go to this line 104. If there's a minus sign, it will else if is handle, and it will then go to line 104. Now division and minus has been handled. The only two operators left are plus and star, right? So if it is plus and star, then this else if will get triggered, right? So what it is saying is that behind the range you have a plus symbol, or behind the range you can get a star symbol, right? And this else if will get triggered. And in this range, it is checking that minus equals to 0 and plus equals to 0. That is, it is ensuring that in this range you will not have any character that is subtraction and addition. So what are the two characters left then? You can only have, you cannot take minus, and you cannot take plus, because that's the MP of this thing is pointing to 0, right? So the only characters we are remaining with is the star symbol and the division symbol. So that means that here you can have either star or division, or here you can have either star or division. So let us do a try run now. So let us say that we have plus, and I'm taking us let's say plus a plus b, and we can say that plus a star b, right? Similarly, I can say that a star of, let's say, a by b, and let's say star of a star b, right? And minus is being handled, right? If I'm not wrong. Yes, minus is being handled for the case inside where plus and minus are either one of its present, but both of them is not present. If that's the case, then again this else will handle. So that means there would be one more case. There would be one more case of minus which will accept the values of plus and division. So let us write that as well, and then we will infer that what should be the value of okay, that the parenthesis should be reduced or not. So minus, I can say a minus b, and then minus a star b, right? So before commenting that for these things okay should be equals to 1 or 0, you tell me the answer of this thing. If I print this line 4 minus 2 into 3 without any parenthesis in this, what should be the output? Yes, you are correct. It would be, according to the precedence, the compiler first execute the multiplication sign, right? So it would be like 4 minus 6, that is minus 2, right? So you can see that in plus and division, the more precedence is for division, since plus and addition, the more precedence is for plus and multiplication, the more precedence is for multiplication. Similarly, between multiplication and division, the more precedence is for multiplication, right? And there is a multiplication, that is star a star b, then definitely you can remove this bracket. That's no case, right? And similarly for a for minus, and this has the more precedence, for minus and similarly this has the most precedence, right? So that means if this division has more precedence that some symbol, then you can clearly say that I can remove this bracket. I can remove this bracket, no problem. And for all the three cases as well, I can remove this bracket. I can remove this bracket. And if I am removing the bracket, then what should be my value of okay? What should be it, right? But then again, we can have one more case as well for this thing, that we have plus and minus, and we can only use the operators star and this thing. But we can make sure that but for the cases as well, you can see that let's say they have a multiplication at the last, at the behind, and you have this thing as a star b cross c, right? Let us assume that, right? But you can definitely see that this multiplication should take place first because it's in bracket, right? And this division should take place first, and then again this multiplication, right or not? So in that case, we can clearly see that this bracket is required, right? Either we have discussed some of the cases that is not required, but then again taking the brackets will be required for these things, right? So we have to mandate this case as again okay is equals to 1. This case, this okay equals to 1 may be a slight difficult to understand. Maybe try to accept it, and also I highly encourage you for this particular test case, try to dry run and think of some other what to say examples as well, right? So that is what I have, that is what it's written here, right? And the last cases, let us discuss the last case and then we'll end this video. So the last case is that we have this thing, right? And let's say we have no operators here, right? And what could be the possibility that we have no operators here as well, or we have the plus symbol or the minus symbol, right? So if there are no operators here and if there are no operators here, right, so that means definitely we do not require a, a bracket, or we require it. So one more thing I'd like to add to the previous test case that I explained you this one, right? And for this case, you can clearly see that you can remove the parenthesis, right? So that is not required. So if it is not required, then you have to say okay equals to 1, right? And for this case, I discussed you that you can have a test case that a divided by b cross c. But again, this bracket will not be there. First, this will get handled, then only it will come to this part now, right? So this case would not be a valid one, I guess. Yeah. And you can clearly understand from this thing that according to the precedence logic, similarly you will not be requiring a bracket, and if it is not required, you have to update is okay as 1. Now let's get back, jump again to our last step. So if there is no operator at the last and no operator at the end, that means you have a test case as this. So a plus b, anything is written in inside a plus b minus c, and there is no operator, there is no operator. So it is as good to say that you can remove this thing, right? For this thing also you can say that OK is equals to 1. And suppose there is a no operator in this side, but you have a plus operator this side, right? Or the minus operator this side, then in the same logic will apply again. You can again say that the OK will be equals to 1, right? Similarly, you can say the same thing as the vice versa, right? You can similarly say for this plus can go here, this plus can go here, and the same thing can operate again, that no operator plus and minus. Similarly, this minus can go here, because if one thing is possible, then the vice versa would also be possible in this case, right? So no operator and plus and minus, right? So that's what the last case is, and the second last case might be a difficult one to understand, and I'm repeating it again, but try to understand with the precedence logic, and that's what I have given you this line, that what will be the output of this thing, right? Try to understand with this one. The last case is easy as well, and that is what it is coded, right? Okay, and if it is not required, if we are checking that if it is not required, that is we are pointing it to -1, then update that answer as 0. And answer of I and j is updating it as 0. It just simply means that we do not have to consider these indexes which have 0. So we will consider only the indexes which is greater than 0, and that is the reason when we had made this answer array at the beginning, we marked it with -1 at all the points. So let us write the last step, that if it is the index is greater than 1, then only we will take the answer. Let us do that. We have made a string buffer, right? Because the appending the character string buffer is O of 1, we are iterating in the loop, and we are saying that if the particular index is greater than 0, then take that particular index from the string and then return the result as string, right? So line number 1.8 marks the end of all the test cases which is written in this else if part, that is from 63. There were only two if else, right? One was for the opening brackets, second was for the closing bracket, but the closing brackets was having multiple test cases, and I have tried my best to explain you here. And it's 3:32 a.m. in the morning. I will just get a 3.5 hours of sleep, and then I have to work again. So try to be constructive in the comment section. If you do not understand, please, I will request you to review the video again. It's already beyond 42 minutes, but that's not an issue, right? There will be multiple videos uploading tomorrow in doing the question in 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and I will ensure that will get the views if that's what they want. Okay, so let us complete the dry run. Let us complete the dry run what we started, right? So we have this range, right? We have this range, and we can clearly see that the last character is star, and the next character is -1. So let us see if that satisfy any of the if in our things. So it checks that if the just behind character and the after character is a closing and opening. So that is not the case. It is checking that no operators are present within the subgroups, but we can clearly see that the operators are present in this subgroup, right? You can clearly see that this is the index 5. That's the index 5, right? Which lies in the index of 3 to 7. That is 4, 5, 6. 5 is present, right? So we can clearly skip that if as well. And then what I'm saying, that if no operators are present beyond the range and after the range, so that's not the case. We have an operator present beyond the behind the range, that is a star value, right? Let us get back, compare the next if. So if it's a division sign, so we do not have division, we have a multiplication sign. If it is a subtraction sign, no, we have a multiplication sign. So if it is checking that in the range, do we have the occurrence of plus and minus? Yes, we have the occurrence of plus. So again, this else if will be skipped. So last if, that if we have, let's say, we have multiplication, right? So it is for the case that the characters may not be present. There is no character behind the range, so that's not the case. Plus, that's not the case. Minus, and that is also not the case. So for rest of the cases, it is handling OK as 0, right? And it is but obvious to see also, right? We have this a star b plus c, right? We have this thing. So if we have a star, then definitely the underlying things would have been in the bracket, right? So all the cases have been handled perfectly, right? I'm repeating again, this was not a question, at least I will say for myself and for the students, for my juniors as well as for seniors, that this is not the question that you can expect in an interview, right? You may get this question in OA, but yes, interviewer I think will not ask according to my mentor, which is Google. Okay, so that is it. That is it. Let us complete the dry run again. Hmm. So we got this thing that OK is equals to pointing for this case as 0. So now let us complete the dry run for p equals to 8. So p equals to 8. Now what a stack is looking like? Stack is looking like that we have a 0 which is pointing to 1. So again, p equals to 8. We have a closing index. It will pop the ending, the corresponding opening index for it. Now we have the range of 0 to 8, and you can clearly see that there is no characters behind it. The next of the last of 0, if you compare from the array, it will give you -1, and the next of 8 will also give you -1, right? So it will definitely fall in this if we have already what to say, we have already explored that step. So if that's the case, then OK will point to 1, and that means this parenthesis is not required. So in the answer array, so you'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 0 will be marked with 0 and 8 will be marked with 0. Rest of the characters will be marked with 1, right? And if you see that this is nothing but a star b, a star parenthesis of b plus c, right? So, and that was our answer. But still, guys, I will encourage you to please run the same code for some of the more test cases, and you will definitely get it right. Let us compile and run, and then we'll hit the submit button finally. Yes, so that is it. It is successfully compiled, and the time complexity is just a for loop. So it is taking O of n time, and n is pointing to 10 power 5, I guess, which is definitely less than 10 power 8, and it will get submitted as for the part of our TLE logic. So let us verify that. So it has been successfully submitted, guys. And yes, I will surely give you this code in a gist format as well. You can clearly refer to my DSA repository, right? So let me give you the C++ code as well. But before that, let me give you a code walkthrough again. We have this first step as making the expression into a string. We made this two array, next and last. Keep the track of this behind and the next operators of a particular index. Then what we did with this is two for loop to maintain that. We made a stack, we made a sign and an MP array. MP is nothing but to store an operator. We check if a particular, when we check for a particular sub expression, we use this array to check if there are any operators present in between or not, right? And there is a for loop for each and every character. So there is, if it matches with the operand, we store that index in a sign array, right? That is what helped us to update in the MP array. You can see in line number 71, those were the two things required: the I and j range, that is uh, the range of our opening and closing index, right? The opening index can be get from the using st.pop, and then if the bracket is open, if it's an open bracket, just push it. If it's closing bracket, then you need to handle these all test cases. I've explained you in very detail as much as possible from my side. And at last, you have this thing: if the index is saying you as 0, that parenthesis is redundant, you do not require it. So whenever it's greater than equals to 0, because we have filled this answer array with 1, take those answer, append it in O of 1, it will be appended in O of 1, and then use this string buffer, the toString function, to return it, right? Now let me give you the C++ code as well. So you can see that the C++ code, and it has been successfully submitted. So let me scroll it for you. So the same thing we have done, right? We made 3 vectors, 2 for loop, 1 stack, 2 again, two more vectors, right? And definitely, since we have used the 4 vectors, so the space complexity will be O of n, right? And I will give you the source code in the description link, so you can get help from that as well. So once again, try to apprehend this question in the best possible way, and I've tried my best to explain you guys. So till then, keep learning, keep going, bye bye, and take care.